Welcome. All right. Happy Tuesday, everyone. Hopefully, this camera is going to behave itself because this is my new OBSBot. It will follow me around the room. As we can see, it will pan with me. So, if it's distracting or nauseating, let me know because I know there's plenty of settings that I could change on it. I just haven't learned enough on how to do that yet. So, anyways, so play along. Let me know if it's too distracting, and we'll see where we get from there. So today, I think we're going to work on a gelatinous cube. So I have several I've played with. So we have a big blocky one, and we have a little squiggly one, and then this is the newest one I made. He's a little stumpier, but a little wider. So I think we're going to make another one today and see if we can nail down this pattern since I'm supposed to have it released in 4 days, 5 days. Yeah, I probably should get this done, huh? So if you have opinions, this one I like the googly eyes. I think that's hilarious that he's got googly eyes, but they're a little small for him. So I also kind of like the just clear eyes on this guy. I think that's cool. The somewhat glittery ones worked on this, but I think it only worked because they matched exactly, and the ones I had yesterday had a darker green, so I didn't put those in there. Or not yesterday, Sunday. One of those days. Anyways, so I think I like too how this littler one had more of globby ooze around the edges instead of just the corners on this one. So I'm going to play around with that some more. So this pattern should work up pretty quickly. It's not a large pattern. I'm not adding a lot of detail. Like some people have a lot of things sticking out of their ooze, and I think that's really cool. But I think what I'm going to do is possibly have some STL files for 3D printing where we could have them attached like safety eyes, where we could have a sword or a skull or something sticking out of it, or a bone or something like that. Anyways, so I'm still playing with that. There's just a lot of gelatinous cubes out there already, and it's a fairly simple pattern, but it's also no-sew, and I like having some more beginner-friendly patterns available as well. Oh, it's ad break time. So I guess I will get all my stuff together while we have our ad break. Unless China's there, and if China's there, then she doesn't have ads. Are you struggling with the rope?
Yeah.
I should walk over there and let everyone see the tangled mess you've made.
No, it's not that tangled. It's just.
Frustrating?
I fixed it.
Ah, okay. Well, we got one more minute of ads anyways, so. And I just realized I was showing pictures of the cubes under the main camera. I don't have it on yet because I'm on the other scene. I'll get better at it.
Excuse you?
Few more seconds. All right, we're back from our ad. And I realized I wasn't really showing you guys the critters very well because I was looking into a different camera. Because I have the follow me around camera, I can still switch to, now we have our you can see what I'm doing camera, theoretically, except it's not updated. Hold on. There's always something with technology. All right, so here's our little guys. So we have our big lumpy guy. We have our little squished blobby guy. And then we have kind of a more medium-sized one. So this big one was my first one. It's okay, but I think it's a little too big. The small one I kind of like. I could just reproduce him, but this last one I did, I made a little wider but stockier, and I think that kind of adds a little bit of charm too. So anyway, so feel free to give me your feedback as we crochet along. I do have some safety eyes too, so if we want the little one, we might be able to get away with these googly safety eyes, and they might not look too small on it. So maybe we go back to the small version. Before the ad, I was starting to say, I do like having, this is a no-sew pattern. The only sewing is just to sew the hole closed at the end. but it's a pretty simple pattern. We'll probably add STL files to do 3D printed safety eyes to put like embellishments on him. If you guys want me to, I can create some though. We could do bones or skulls or swords or who knows, whatever else. So feel free to have input into how this little guy turns out. So I'm just going to get started on the basic shape, and then you guys can determine how this pattern turns out, because I do have to have it done in like 5 days. So I probably should get going on it. Plus, I got new yarn in from my purple dragon that we lost at Yarn Chicken. So maybe Sunday we'll finish up the dragon too. But for now, I want to try and get these patterns out. I streamed Sunday making a crochet dice bag. So if you missed that, it should be on the VODs. And that pattern will be released probably tonight. So anyways, this pattern starts with a magic circle. Doesn't have to though. If you're scared of magic circles or whatever, we can definitely have a version that doesn't need it. But basically we start with just single crocheting 8 in our magic ring, because we're going to make this square, so I want a multiple of 4 for the sides. And I don't know, I mean, I haven't used a lot of other folks' patterns for doing squares. Hi, Mermazing, how's it going? So anyways, I was saying, I haven't used other people's square patterns, but this is the way I like to do squares. So whether I'm doing a Minecraft character or something, this is the method I use to make my squares. And that's the other reason I kind of thought it would be a fun little plushie, is it does teach a nice technique that you can use for more than just a gelatinous cube. Okay, I do have 8. So I'm gonna just single crochet in the next space and tie off my magic ring. Well, I appreciate it. Sometimes my streams are very low attendance. I haven't found the right windows of time that work with my schedule and actually have people available to do them. So, because I'm on the West Coast, and so my folks aren't off work yet usually. All right, so to do our square, we're going to do 1 single crochet, and then in the next stitch, we're going to do 3 stitches. We're going to do a single crochet, we're going to do a half double crochet, and then we're going to do another single crochet. So what that does is slowly over time, it builds up that corner, and that's what we're going to do in the corner, on each corner all the way around for multiple rows. It'll really start to make that square rather than taking a circle and then trying to make it have square corners at the end. All right, so then we are going to do another single crochet, and then we're going to do that same 3 stitches. Single, half double, and single, all in the same stitch. And then just 1, and then single, half, and single. And I just keep them nice and snug so we don't get holes in there, but otherwise it goes pretty quickly. So what do you think I should put, how do you think I should embellish my gelatinous cube? So there's our first row, and you can see it already has, the corners are nicely squaring out. I could have done it with 3 single crochets too, which would kind of make it square-ish, but I find doing a half double crochet just gives it a little extra bump at the edges. So then the formula we're going to use for this is we just work to the corner, which in this case is 2 single crochets. And in that half double crochet we made on the previous row, we're going to do a single crochet, a half double crochet, and a single crochet. So if you want to mark the half double crochets, you could just mark them each row and know that's where your increase is. But on this row, we had 1 single crochet between the 2 corners. Now we should have 3, I think. 1, 2, 3, because you had an increase on either side of it. And then we do our single, half double. I always lose track at some point and forget to increase somewhere. So this should be 3 again. 1, 2, 3. And then single, half double, single, and then 3. So it's very formulaic. It's not much different than doing a circle in the sense that you're grouping increases in a certain way to make your circle, to make it lay nice and flat. And then we do our single, half double, and single. And now we're back around to almost where we started. So we're going to do one more, I think, or is it two? Yeah. So that's where our starter row is, because we did 2 and then our increase on the corner. So I'm going to mark this because I lose track of what row I'm on these pretty easy. And I like to just use a piece of scrap yarn. That seems the easiest method, because then I could just drape it between the stitches and go. I'm going to make sure my cameras are staying in frame. Yay, they are. Hopefully the cat cam is, but the cats aren't doing anything fun, so we don't know. You guys can use channel points to give the cats treats. I don't know if it can compete with Storage Thrower's rope, though, because they're really intrigued by Storage Thrower trying to unravel rope over there with 2 cats helping. I don't think they're as helpful as they think they are. So now we go 3 on this first one because we already did 1. And now we're at the half double crochet corner. So we're going to do single, half double, oops, then half double. Nope, clearly I cannot do a half double crochet today. All right, there we go. And now this time it should be 5 between each of these corner increases. So you can kind of see the pattern. Each row we go around increases 2 on each side, but then our corners are worked the same.
I didn't realize that everybody here dresses up every year. Me neither. It's Halloween. That is really, really good timing.
And I really like this structure of the pattern because you can make the square as big or as small as you want, and that affects the base. You can make a cube any size you want. You can make it little or you can make it big, and it really just depends on how many rows around you work before you start to turn for the sides. And so I do like that aspect. I might do you think it would be helpful if I added multiple sizes of our little slime onto the pattern, or do you think this is simple enough that I should just say feel free to add more rows in the same formatted or in the same pattern or whatever? Because sometimes I worry that if I do, sometimes I make patterns overly complicated by assuming somebody wants to do multiple different sizes or whatever, when really they just want to follow the pattern. I'm never good at just following a pattern, so I guess that's why I get carried away sometimes. But you can kind of see that you can kind of visualize where that corner is each time, because you can see the 3 stitches and you're just going in the middle one for your increase. So this pattern doesn't really even require a whole lot of counting. It's just more of a rhythm to it. And I am doing a yarn under on these. I use a yarn under instead of a yarn over for my stitches, where I grab the yarn from above. I yarn over for the second half of the stitch. That doesn't seem to have as big of of a concern, but it makes the stitches just a little shorter and more compact so the stuffing doesn't show. So. You can see how our square is definitely getting more square every round, and I kind of like that it really pokes those corners out. Probably should see how many rows I actually wrote in my pattern when I wrote it. This pattern I wrote on my Google Drive probably a year ago, maybe more. And I was just going to release it as a free pattern on my Kickstarter, but I think I'll go ahead and push it out on my Patreon either way. And then I can still always do it on my Kickstarter too. But it's a really simple pattern, but last month kicked my butt on the dragon. And so I feel like I needed a simpler one this month, considering I haven't even finished my last plush version of the dragon prototype so I can get photos of it. So I'm just like, I think it's gelatinous cube time. All right, so let's see, we did. So it says I went up to 48 stitches. I think that was probably this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 rows. No, not quite that many. Maybe it was this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep. Okay, so that one should make this size. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So yeah, just one more row in this pattern and we'll have one this size, which I think we'll go with for now, because I think that was adequate. And I really just want to test this and get the pattern released, because I do need to get a picture of it when I finish this row, because I don't get enough pictures as I go. So that would go 9. I don't think my row counts are correct in my sample pattern, but that's okay. So this will give me 48 stitches around once I get around this row. And then we will switch to making our sides. Don't know why we ended up with a monster mash. Well, we are mashing up a monster, so I guess that probably tracks, but... All right, so this row would have had 5 single crochets, yep. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then our quarter. All right, so... All right, so at the end of this row, we worked the other previous rows in the round. Well, here we're gonna slip stitch, because when we work, we're gonna work in the back loop only to give us this little ridge around, and where it overlaps, I don't want it to be real noticeable. So that's why we're gonna slip stitch here and chain 1. You can do that on the other rows if you really want to keep the rows looking really where you don't have a spiral, but honestly you don't really notice it, and I love working in the round a lot more. It's yeah, exactly, it is fitting. I probably should have more creepy music for making a book about monsters. All right, so the one thing I did on this one that I kind of like is I decreased on this first row, so it kind of started, it made it a little funkier at the top here. So I don't know. Maybe it doesn't really matter that much. Maybe I'll stick with the original. Okay, so we're just going to work straight around. So it should just be 48 single crochets around, and I'm working just in the back loop only, which means I probably should take a picture, because I forget to take pictures. But you can definitely see how this technique of doing the 3 stitch increase on the corners, a single crochet, half double crochet, single crochet gives us a nice square shape. All right, so we will get a nice picture of our square. All right. And I don't really need a stitch marker here now because I'll be able to see where the where our row changed. And so I just single crochet all around, even in the corner half double crochets. And what's going to happen is it's going to give us a nice crisp corner. If we didn't go in the back loop, I think I split the yarn. If we didn't do these in the back loop, it would still work, but it would curve more than have a crisp line of a 90-degree angle. Because see, it definitely gives it a much tighter bend if we go in the back loop only. I do the same thing on the necks of creatures. I work in the front loop only so that it gives me a nice 90-degree angle where I increase from the neck to branch off into the head. So that's just the way I do things. You look confused, storage thrower. What's up?
My measurements aren't measuring.
Your measures aren't measuring, huh? So what I like to do is I will use, there's a cutting board over here, like a self-healing mat. It's 36 inches long, so you could just, that's a yard for each one. It's 3 feet, so sometimes just holding it and is easier than measuring a rope that likes to move.
I have it measured and I have 10 feet markers, but it's not measuring. It's like,
Well, you've heard the old adage, measure twice, cut once. Keep measuring till it measures consistently.
measured like 4 times.
Yeah, well, you're practicing. You're going to be so good at measuring. So now that I have this camera, we also have the freedom to kind of walk around the room and work on different projects. So feel free to make suggestions if there's stuff you guys want to see more of. I need to set up my overhead cameras or have a portable overhead camera that I can take to the different spots so we can do the top-down cameras. But that's not undoable. So I have a 3D printer. I have a Cricut machine. Which is a vinyl cutting, paper cutting, wood cutting, metal engraving machine. I haven't tried it with wood. I think that might just make too big of a mess. I have engraved metal with it. It takes many passes to engrave on metal, but it can do it. Sewing machines. What else do I have? Tumbler presses so we can make sublimation mugs, custom tote bags and water bottles and all kinds of stuff. So yeah, it's kind of going to be exciting now that I have a little more portability with the cameras. So, all right, let's see what I did here. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11. I just want to make sure this last row that I don't lose a stitch here. 2, 4, 5. 2, 4, 5. Yep, I need one more there. I always like to lose a stitch sometimes where the transition point is, so I want to make sure. Now I'm going to go back to working in the round because I'm lazy, and that works easier for me. So I'm going to put my little marker back in here, and instead of slip stitching here, I'm just going to work in the top of this single crochet we did on the past row because we're just going to do multiple rows until we have it the height we want it. So this is just... Usually what I will do is if there's 6 rows on the top, I will do 7 rows in height when I'm doing a circle. So this is fairly similar. So we'll probably do 7 rows of straight stitches. And the more we do, the more square. It still looks pretty flat right now, but you can see the nice little line around the edges. As we keep going around, it'll pull that down so it is much more square shaped. Just lots of round and round and round with nothing No real details. But that's why I kind of like this. It is fairly beginner friendly other than the magic circle. So, magic ring. So, I might have to make a version that doesn't use the magic ring so it could actually be really beginner friendly. Because as much as my patterns like to be overly complicated, I like to have them low sew or no sew, and I didn't really have any that were very, very beginner friendly. They made some assumptions where this one it's kind of hard to mess up. There's not a lot of things to attach to it. So hopefully it'll work out well. I just didn't want it to be too boring either. But since I have a 3D printer, it could be fun. My partner's going to make me some STL files of some custom stuff we can stick in this little guy. And so we can share those with everybody too. Maybe I'll set up a poll to see what everybody wants to see stuck in this Jello cube, gelatinous cube. All right, so you can kind of see the corners now are really starting to pop out into their shape. Can't tell if the cats are getting into something. They sound like they're getting into trouble. Maybe we should give them some treats. Then again, that might be rewarding bad behavior. What are you kitty cats doing? There they are. Hi. Would you like a treat? Well, maybe we'll see if they want to play in the ball pit. Hi, do you want to play in the ball pit? Oh, yeah. Is the cat camera working? Let's see if that's doing its thing. Yep. So there's our stubby-tailed cat. She wags her tail like a little dog. It's kind of adorable. Oops. Well, Pip, you got to work for it. So Quinn is a little black and white cat with the stubby tail. And then Pip is the gray and white one about to invade and bully her out of the way. But we'll see. He's really a chill cat until we got her, and then he's not. He feels she needs chastisement. I can't disagree. Hi, Darth Crow. How is it going? Oh, you did do cat treats. Look at that. So I guess they get more cat treats. Hopefully Pip doesn't make himself sick. He loves treats, but they don't love him if he hasn't had his dinner. So, all right. So we are making a gelatinous cube tonight. So little stumpy little guy. Fairly simple pattern, but I do find that I think my book needs something fairly beginner friendly too. So what should we put in our little gelatinous cube other than safety eyes? Thinking my partner's going to make me some STL files of things to stick in it. Thinking maybe bones, or maybe a little skull sticking out, or a sword. We'll make them like safety eyes so they just snap in. But I don't know. We'll figure it out. But if you have suggestions, so this cube's going to be boring for about another 5 rows because we're just going around and round and round and round. I do think I'm going to try and use my googly eyes. I have these safety eyes that are googly eyes. I think that's kind of fun. I used it on this big one, but he was a little too big. They got a little lost. Yeah, me too. I kind of want to see if I can find some larger ones. I found some that I can sew on also, which I kind of like because I like sew on safety eyes, which I don't like to sew things on, but when I'm designing, I don't necessarily know where the eyes are supposed to go until I'm done making it. So, this music's making me sleepy. Yeah, that's kind of what I was leaning toward. Because I like I've seen other people make gelatinous cubes and they crochet the bones or stuff in them and they look okay, but it doesn't quite look right, especially since technically the gelatinous cube would be transparent and you'd see the other part of it. So I think just having some little 3D printable stuff would be kind of fun. And again, I'm not trying to recreate something that other people have already done. So I feel like if I made the crochet embellishments for it, that it might be more appropriating what someone else has already done. That's the one really challenge with making patterns is if I see something, I can make it. And so it's really hard for me to unsee things. So usually what I'll do is I'll start with just a really simple sketch without any embellishments of what I've seen, unless it's somebody posts an AI thing that couldn't be real, and then I feel challenged to make it real. That's what I did with my dragon. I was working on my dragon anyways, but the shape wasn't quite inspiring enough, and I was scrolling and I saw one. I'm like, oh my god, that's the right pose, but that is AI. That is totally an AI pattern. And they even had the free instructions. I'm like, that would not make that dragon. And so I'm like, fine, I will make that dragon. And so my pattern has two versions, and one is the cutesy one that I'd seen an AI one go by that I really liked. So yeah, that's it too. You just got to have a gelatinous cube. And I've got about 6 more patterns to make. I think we're at about 10 or 12 patterns now. I think this will be the 12th one actually. You can kind of see now how the square starts to shape up. I love how crisp that edge is because we did those corners, the increases in the corners so much. So if you start out with it nice and square here, then when you transition to the edges, it still keeps that shape really nice. Oh, another ad break. All right, our ad should be over. I think I'm going to go and reduce the number of ads I have. They seem to happen more often than I'd like. I was trying to get 3 minutes of ads an hour so that it would stop doing the pre-roll ads, but somebody told me it's still doing the pre-roll ads, so I don't know. Maybe it's not worth it, and I'll just stick with my minute an hour and call it done. Because I'm not going to get rich off of the ads. I mean, let's be honest. I'm not making my money that way. With my Patreon, I'm almost getting a yarn allowance every month now. So it's not too bad. Considering, making any money on something I love is amazing. And I don't like making plushies to sell. I enjoy making the patterns a lot more because that means a lot more people can make them. And making stuff, crocheting objects is never really profitable for an hourly rate. It's not, and it's something that at some point as I age, it will be harder to make a lot of product. So at least with making patterns, it's something that can live on a lot longer, I think. And I enjoy it. So I should have my dice bag pattern out tonight. That's going to be a free pattern on my Patreon. So if you're not subscribed, jump up there and get on my free Patreon and you'll get the dice bag pattern. I think I have a couple of them here somewhere. So it used to be I made these nice big ones. Hold on. Let's see. Where's the other side? So they were more big dice bags like this, which they're cool with the dragon scales or leaves. But I went and made a tiny pattern, a tiny version somewhere. These turned out so cute. I didn't weave in my ends. Please don't hate me. But so here's my little ones. You kind of see. They're much littler, but they're fine for dice. And here's another one. And then last night I made a trans one because I'm like starting to get ready for Pride. Woodinville Pride here is June 6th, so I've got to get stuff ready for that. So anyways, so I thought I might make a few different pride flags as little dice bags. But for now, it's gelatinous cubes. But then I'll get that pattern put up there hopefully tonight. It was supposed to be up yesterday, but time got away from me. I also need to get my newsletter out, so because we have local meetups here, and I usually try and get the announcements out by the 25th of the month before, because sometimes our first Friday falls on like the 1st, and I'm like, I don't want to wait till the 1st to send out the notice. But this month I have a little more time, so it's not too bad, but I think the holiday weekend kind of distracted things a bit. So the dice bag pattern too is one that I was like, should I just do the tiny version? Should I make the big version as an option? I think I'm going to do both because it's easy to say just add more rows, but I find that not everybody finds it as easy as I do to modify a pattern or has the confidence to do it. So we'll see. I'll see how much I get done tonight. And whether my kid needs a haircut. Oh, that's you. For a minute, I thought the cats were messing with your tape measure. Storage sewers here fighting with some rope.
I've measured it like 5 times and it's not measuring correctly.
You should make Flixer come down and help you measure it, because it might just be that you need to hold it flat or sit something heavy on it.
I put the chair on it.
Oh, the chair. Well, that's all I got. I mean, that's the
It's keeping it in place.
that's the only advice I got. I think it's just the length you're going for is it just has too much room for error, because
Safety pins to measure out 10 feet.
What now?
I'm using safety pins to measure out 10 feet.
Safety pins, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, pinning the rope?
Yeah.
Oh, that's kind of smart.
I'm fitting safety pins through the rope so
You're so smart.
Safety pin is 10 feet.
And it's still not right?
Yeah. I only did 3 safety pins, so 30 feet.
We're laughing with you, not at you.
And then I was holding it in half, but then it still wasn't matching up to my line, so I'm going to do all 6.
Fair.
If it still doesn't match up, then I'm going to trust the safety pins instead of my previous measurement.
Fair. And when it's off, how much are you off? Is it like inches? Part of inches?
Like a good few inches.
Okay. Enough that if the ball bounced out of bounds, it would matter.
Yeah.
Okay. Storage sewers making boundaries for a volleyball net out of rope. And so we'll see which wins. Storage thrower or the rope?
Probably the rope.
Yeah, I think the rope is winning too. This is nice that this pattern doesn't require me to count though for most of it. This is kind of nice. Then I just got to remember to take some more pictures here in a minute now that I have my... We're almost done with the sides. Let's see, 2, 4, 6. Actually, we're already on 8. Nope, that's going to need to go quite a bit further. That looks quite a bit bigger than that one. 2, 4, 6. I think I might have decreased at the corners because it does look like I decreased. Well, we'll see how this turns out. Not going back now. So I think if I do decrease at the top row, I think it does give it a little more character though. Because it just makes it divot in just a little bit.
So my previous measurement was 8.5 inches off.
8.5 inches off? Okay, where are you at this time? Do you know? Not that far yet? Well, may the odds be ever in your favor.
I measured on the 10th foot mark, so we're just going to count them up and make sure I have 6. And then I'm just going to cut it and we're going to go because that's...
At least once you have one, you can make the other one the same. So
Yeah.
that does make it a little easier.
It was just the one didn't even want to work.
So I know when I'm making kits with yarn where I need like multiple yards of yarn, but not, I measure it really exacting by, measuring the length of my arm. So in other words, I don't do it very exacting. I just add extra and then hope for the best. Cats lost interest in the treats. I'm guessing they got them all. It's not their dinner time yet, so they're usually very interested in the treats this time of day. It's about half an hour till their dinner time. All right, how many rows do we have here? 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. 2, 4, 6, 8. So this is my 9th row. That doesn't quite look... I guess it is about the same height. Okay, well, we will see how it looks. So what I think I will do on this one is decrease one, or on the corners, 1 row. And then we will start embellishing the bottom. And you guys can decide what kind of eyes we're going to have on this guy. Let's see. So I have eyes with glitter to go behind them. And sparkly eyes and googly eyes. The googly eyes are a little small, so we'll see how they look on this guy. It might be that I want to make another one that's a little bit smaller and the googly eyes might work. Because you can see the previous eyes here. And yes, this guy is upside down in there because your eyes, if you're a gelatinous cube, your eyes can float wherever you want, wherever we want them to. All right. So, oops, I split my yarn. I'm kind of tickled that Catzilla hasn't been up here to invade, though. She's been...
After my rope.
Yeah, it does help that somebody's entertaining them with rope. So if you have trouble keeping your stitches tight, one thing I found is I will work this inside out for the most part, and it makes it easier to keep a little bit better tension because you're not having it stretch out the opposite direction. All right, so that's the end of my row. So theoretically, that's the same height as this guy. But it seems wider though, so I think I'm going to go one more row, but I'm going to decrease on the corners. So I need to figure out where that's going to be, because as you can see, the corners, they kind of work, but they shift a little bit in, your luggage shifts a little in transit. So our corner here is that one. So 2, 4, 6. Okay. So we're going to go 5 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we're going to do a 3 single crochet decrease. So we're going to decrease 3 stitches. So we're going to go this one and this one and this one. So basically where the single crochet, half double crochet, single crochet would have been up here, we're just decreasing 1. So then we should go 8, I think. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, I think. No, 9, maybe. Yep, 9. All right, and then we're gonna do our our triple decrease. I don't know. A decreasing, work 3 single crochets into 1. That's what it's called. All right, and then we go 9 again. And I got to remember to write this down. And you can kind of visualize where the corner is and those 3. So they should line up, but every now and again I'll get off somewhere. But on this pattern, it's a gelatinous cube. It's wiggly. Don't judge yourself, just keep going. And then we'll do 9 again, one more corner, and then we'll be around. And then we'll start our turn again. So we'll turn to do the bottom, and then we come back and do the slime around the edges. I could do it all in one, but I think it looks better if oops, I wasn't counting. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. Hey, I stopped at just the right point. All right, so one more 3 single crochet invisible decrease, and then write that down. Should have 4 left. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes. Probably. Close enough. All right, so you can see that we have just a little bit of a divot here at the bottom then where it starts to decrease. So this next row, we're gonna go and do a slip stitch again because I want my back loop only to be fairly seamless. So we'll go ahead and put a slip stitch at the end of this. Chain 1. All right. Then we're going to work in the back loop only all the way around. There should be 40 stitches, I think. No, 44. No, 40, because we decreased 8 that row.
Okay, I think the issue was that this wasn't a full 100 feet.
Ah, so you were just counting on it being 100 and like folding in half and half and half?
No, because I thought I counted 60 feet at first, and then I was measuring the other part to make sure it was 40.
Ah.
But it was like just barely above 30.
So
And I measured again, 8.5 inches off. So, and then I just measured the rest of it, and it would only have come up to like, and so that was only like 35-ish feet. So I think I'm just missing 5 feet of rope.
That seems fair. Oh, you know what? I'm supposed to be decreasing on this row too. Hold on, let me go back over here. So we do 4, and then we do our corner decrease again, but we're doing it with the back loop only. So back loop onlys, I find I have to pull up a loop to do my decreases. Front loops, I can get away with doing invisible decreases. And then this should be 7, I think, because we had 9 last row. 1. Alright, and so there's our decrease from before, so we're decreasing 1 on either side of that corner we just did. And we're working in the back loop. So I'm just going to pull up a loop for each of those. Or I can just make a mess of it. Let's see what I did on that one. There. Alright, then it should just be 7 more. So this also shows that you can change up how your character looks based on where you do the decreases. So see, I started to do it before I got to the bottom, so it'll kind of tuck it in a little bit. It'll angle it in right at the bottom. I did that on this one too. But this one, I think I also did it at the top. So you can play around with where the decreases are. There is no gelatinous cube police here. You can play around with your design and see how you want to make it. I do like that there's probably never going to be 2 slimes alike, and you can add so many different embellishments to it to make it your own. And then another decrease here. Should be 3 because we started with 4 and all the others had 7. And then we're just going to start working in this one. We'll work in the round now. So see, we'll have one little like divot where you can kind of, if you're really paying close attention, you can kind of see where the transition point is, but we'll just put those on the back and it'll be fine. You can kind of see how it's already starting to make our little square shape again. All right, so any opinions on the eyes? Do we want glitter or sparkle? So by sparkle, you can kind of see they're like this one here. They kind of have, but we can use different sizes. And the glitter is just glittery behind it. This one is just clear behind it, and then we have the googly eyes. So you guys get to choose. And we're about to the place where we want to put the eyes in. We could go one more row, but I like to put the eyes in before I get too far. And this will just be the back where you can kind of see just a little bit of an angle where the transition point where the back loop only is. This bottom one won't really show. This top one will show just a little bit, but only if you're really looking for it. So what do we want his face to look like? I'm going to get a drink of water while you guys think about it. And we can try a couple of different eyes if you want to see them. The other thing we could do is mix and match them a little bit if we wanted him to have several different eyes. And I do like the idea of having them floating in here not quite even, which I think is kind of fun. All right, so there's Googly. And here is the other kind. These ones are a little bigger than these other ones, so that I kind of like this size. We don't have to do green either. We can make them whatever color you want. And we can give them a mouth too if you want. And then we have glitter eyes, which we could do other colors. I tried the green. I didn't like the green because it was close, but not really. That it's this size here. Maybe try a silver or a gold, maybe. Well, that's kind of bluish, honestly. Let go. All right. So I like that we can put different eyes on each side and kind of see what we want it to look like before we commit. The thing I like about these large eyes is they definitely are safer. I mean, they still could pop loose, but they it's nice that they aren't going to slip out. All right, so we have glitter eyes. We could choose a color. Not sure I like those too much. Then we have our googly eyes. Then we have our sparkly eyes. I think I'm leaning toward the sparkly eyes. Not sure I like the placement yet, though. The googly eyes are cute, though. I just think I need them to be a little bit bigger. I think I'm going to search for some more googly eyes in a bigger size. All right, so put these on the front. Leaning toward that. The placement I'm not completely in love with yet either. I think maybe a little higher. Maybe like that. Okay. All right. So, oh, I need the backs to them. I think I'm going to try and print some of my own safety eyes soon. My partner has a resin printer, so I could get really fancy ones possibly. Just not sure if I can get them quite the way I want them, but we'll see. Just would be nice to be able to get what I want rather than what I can find. Although I might 3D print, I bet I could 3D print the bases for googly eyes and then just glue the googly eyes on. I bet that would work. All right, so I probably should update my last row. So this one was single crochet 4. Oh, wait. And back loop only. SC4. Okay, and I'm going to get a picture because, again, I forget that part. And I usually like to put the put the stuffing in around when I get down to 12 stitches. It gives me room to move around and position the stuffing, but it doesn't, but it's not so open that I have to fight the stuffing for several rows after that. Helps if I actually don't turn the camera around. Okay, well, thank you guys for sticking around with me. It definitely makes it more fun to have somebody to talk to. The other cool thing about working on Twitch, I find, is I can actually tell how long it takes to make a pattern because I know how long I've been on stream. All right, so now on these, each row, we're just going to go, nope, one too many. Basically, we stop one before the decrease of the previous row, and we do a decrease there. And now we're working in both stitches, so we can just do it like an invisible decrease. Maybe. 3 gets a little trickier. It wants to split the yarn a little easier. So you can do these as a traditional decrease, but you want to go in 3 stitches, pull up each loop, and that gives us our corner. So this one we should go in 5 across between the decreases. And now you can see there's our decrease, so 1 on either side. We're gonna 1, 2, 3. And 5. Definitely closes up a lot faster when you're decreasing 8 per row. So as long as I don't split the yarn. Should be 2. And you can see it's definitely closing up nicely. And it has a bit of once we get it stuffed, it'll have a little bit more height to it too. That'll push it out. But it's a fun little shapes where it tapers down right here. That'll be more obvious when we add the slime bottom to it. I think I missed the ad break. Sorry, guys. I'm not good. At least my chat tells you when there's an ad coming because I don't look up enough. All right, so then we're going to single crochet in 2. And then another 3 single crochets worked as 1. And then 3 stitches. So you can definitely see the formula starting to shape up, so hopefully this makes sense. The only parts to really that can be persnickety is when you're decreasing 3 in the corner, you just want to make sure that you don't have that hole be too big because I I just keep the yarn nice and taut. And if for some reason it gets too big, you can always pull that stitch out and redo it. But you just want to make sure that there's not a big gap at the corners. It'll be on the bottom at least, so it's not quite as noticeable as if it was on the top, but okay. Oh, I went too many there. All right, so this is probably about where I should put the stuffing in because otherwise I'm not going to have much room to negotiate. So let me get a picture of where we are here. And then we'll add some stuffing. All right, so I'm just using polyfill. You could also make it a weighted gelatinous cube. You could even make a gelatinous cube hacky sack if you really wanted to. Apparently that's become popular again with all the young ones. Everyone's a young one compared to me, so. But I remember in the 1980s when I was a kid that, you know, hacky sacks were really popular. So people are using cotton yarn and the plastic pellets, like Polyfill has some poly pellets. I think I have a couple of packages over there. And or they're even using just dried corn or lentils, things like that. You can use just like bean bags. You just want to kind of put it in a nylon or sew a little pouch to put the beads in or the pellets or whatever you're stuffing it with to keep them from falling out, especially if you're going to hit it like a hacky sack. So when I put stuffing in, I expand it, you know, I fluff it out a little bit and I kind of put it in the middle and then I pull it to the outside. So you can see how it's fluffing out the outside because then it's not lumpy. You don't see giant lumps in any one place. And it just kind of helps to work it in. And that way you can kind of make it as dense as you want it to be. I think I may have to make a hacky sack gelatinous cube next. What do you think?
That'd be fun.
Yeah. It could be a little smaller too because it would be probably a row or two smaller than this one to make it the right size. But I think that would be funny.
I mean, you probably wouldn't want to do.
I wouldn't do safety eyes. Yeah, I'd probably just sew eyes and a mouth on if I wanted to. But still would be kind of fun to have the ooze. Look like you've been smacked a little bit too much. Yeah, this guy seems shorter. I do like that none of my ooze are the same. None of my gelatinous cubes look the same. But that's okay. But it'd be interesting to have square hacky sacks instead of round ones. Square-ish. All right, I think that's probably enough for now.
I was thinking of the bean bags for the beanbag toss when you were talking about hacky.
No, hacky sacks are more round.
I know they're round, but
You were visualizing something different?
I was visualizing the
Cornhole type bean
yeah,
bags.
yeah.
Yeah. All right, so now that we got it stuffed pretty good, I can always add stuffing afterwards, but I also want to be able to still have them be somewhat square, so I don't like to overstuff them. So once I think that's probably good enough. And see, it did kind of make it a little taller now. But so I'm just going to continue this pattern. So now I'm going to decrease here because I'm at the corner. And then just one single crochet in the middle. So this is basically back to where we started with our second row, where we were increasing the same formula. So this isn't anything unique as a pattern. It's just kind of fun that you can take something pretty simple and make it still give it some character. And one, and then another decrease. And this will be down to 8 stitches, so that at that point we will be able to sew it closed. The only sewing on this pattern, although you can add a mouth if you want to. But all right, so now we're back. So I'm just going to slip stitch this chain and give myself some to play with. And then I got to remember where I put my needle. Guess I could grab a new one from my Lego drawer if I don't kill a dragon in the process. Sorry if that's super loud on the microphone. I have like 50 needles, but can I ever find one? Ooh, there's one. I can't always find them when I want them. But what I have done is I've made these cute little desk organizers. It's a Lego. And so they have a little drawer, but then they stack together like Legos. So let's see, the bottom has holes. So I'm going to need to print a couple more. I want to print a wide one that can hold crochet hooks too. All right, so for this, I'm just going to pull my yarn through. And the way I close this up, or the way I sew any hole closed, is pretty similar. I fray my yarn to death. Okay, so we're just going to pull that knot. So then what I do is this first stitch, I just go under the next stitch from the inside and pull it through. But then all these other loops, I'm just going to grab the outside loop. So like the front loop only of each of these. I could grab both, but it would give more bulk to where we're pulling them closed. So I'm just going from the inside to the outside on just this front loop only on each of these around. And I'm not really pulling them too tight yet because otherwise I won't be able to see which ones I've already done. Okay, I think I'm back around now. So now when I go to close it, if I want to add any more stuffing, this would be the time, but I think we're good. So I like to hold my finger on top so that when I pull on this, any of this bulk is going to go inside rather than making it pointy on top. So see, I just kind of press down as I pull that tight. And I think I probably could have gotten one more there. So I'm just going to go get one more in there. So there, the hole is pretty much closed completely up and it's fairly flush. So then where this is at, I will usually knot it off nearby. And so I went down here and back up here. And what I'm going to do is hold the side that doesn't. So see, this side is where the yarn is moving. So I hold the static side and I go through it with my needle twice. So I kind of wrap it around there twice and I pull it tight against the shape. So then I hold my finger on top of that as I pull the needle through, and that keeps the knot right at the surface. See, it doesn't, sometimes the knot will move up and you'll have more bulk to deal with. And then wherever this yarn, see, it's kind of pointing this way, that's where I will go down in to hide it. And just come out the other side. So now when I pull this and start shaping it, see, you don't even really see, you can kind of see the knot if you really are looking for it, or where the knot was done, but it's not real obvious. So then I'll cut off the excess and shape him up a little bit, make him a little more square. So blobby. All right, and then we're gonna add the ooze, the goo around the bottom where he's kind of melty. So did this a couple of different ways. So I don't think I wrote it down well though. So what I'm going to do is start with a slip knot on this one. So this first one I kind of like because it's got ooze at the corners, or it's kind of got random ooze. See, it's not just at the corners, it's kind of sometimes in the middle. This one I did just the corners and I didn't weave my ends in because I didn't have a needle with me. You can kind of see I just kind of increased more of the blob at the edges, which is okay, but it kind of looks boring compared to this one that has a little more character to it, I think. So I'm going to kind of get something similar going on, I think. So this is the bottom. Looks a little bit messier, not a lot, but a little. I'm going to start kind of where our beginning of the row was because that's at the back. So if anybody can see the transition point, it won't be obvious. All right, so I'm just going to attach my yarn in one of these front loops that we left hanging there. I'm just going to attach that with a slip stitch. And I want to work with myself looking at the head because I want the right sides of the stitches to be pointing out. So I'm just going to work another single crochet in that same stitch. And yeah, and then the next couple of stitches. And then this is the corner. So you can kind of see this was where our decrease was. So this would be our corner, these 3 stitches from the previous row. So this is where I might want to start increasing to give myself a blob at the corner. So I could do like a half double crochet, and maybe a second half double crochet, and then a couple of double crochets. So you're building up the height. Or maybe I'll do a double and then a treble. That may be too much. We'll see how that looks. And then another double. So that's all in the same stitch, a double, treble, double. And then we'll do 2 half doubles. And we'll see what that looks like. Looks like it might be a little too square. So I'm not sure I like that. So maybe we'll just do doubles. And this is why no 2 look the same. I can't commit. All right, so now we have 2 double crochets. I'm going to make that 3. And then we'll put 2 doubles, or 2 half doubles. And then we're back to single crochets. So I think we have 7 across there. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep. So I think what we're going to do is a single, and then we're going to do 2 half doubles maybe in the same stitch. So that'll make it bow out a little bit, and then we'll go back to our singles. Just to make it look a little interesting on the sides. Because I don't mind that it looks pointy just on, or blobby on just the corners, but I think just having a little bit of interest on the sides is kind of fun. All right, so we're back at the 3 corner spaces. Are we? Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. All right, so then we're going to do 2 half double crochets. And then the next stitch, 3 double crochets. Wait, yeah, 3. 1, 2, 3. And then 2 half double crochets on the next one. And then back to singles. So that increase basically gives us that little bit of a blob that comes out around the corner. And I think that looks pretty good. It's still kind of erratic. I like having this little half double in the middle. I think that gives it a little something. I just don't want it to look too predictable, so we'll see if this works okay. I think this one looked pretty good, even though I think even if it just looked where it had the blobs on the corner and a little bit in the middle, I think that's good. All right, so then we're going to single crochet in 3. 1. If I can see them. 2, 3, and then 2 half double crochets in the next stitch, and rinse and repeat. And I could even mix it up and use like picot stitches and other things to make like little trails of ooze that even stick out from the body a little more. But that's where it could be fun just to play around with and, experiment with the different embellishment techniques. So maybe by the time I write it up in the book, I'll have a lot more little embellishments we could add in addition to the STL files for things poking out of it.
I'm off by a full foot now.
Storage thrower is really losing against the rope. So So it's kind of like when you learn to crochet and you have to realize that you don't know how to count.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fair.
Clearly, I don't know how to measure rope.
To be fair, I'm sitting here counting while you're trying to count. So. But we are almost done here with this. Maybe I can help and we can both not be able to count together.
Yeah.
Then at least you don't feel mental. Oh, hi, Catzilla. Quinn almost missed her moment, but she heard that we were almost done and decided to come invade. So she can have her little moment. Let's see. Catzilla. By the way, you guys should be able to type in Catzilla anytime she invades too. All right, then we do our 2 little half double crochets in this last spot. If I could hold it. 1 and 2. All right, then we're just going to slip stitch in our starting single crochet, chain 1 and cut our thread. And again, the only sewing we really have to do is sewing the hole closed and then just tucking our ends in here. This yarn looks so much more yellow in this light. It's a lime green, but it's feeling a little yellowy. All right, so I like to just follow which way the yarn goes. See, this is kind of going this way, so I'm just going to go through this stitch here and weave it in a little bit and then just stick it through the body. And the more I can go across the body, the better, just because it's got more resistance, so it's not likely to come back out. And I'll weave this one in. This one's trying to go that way, so we'll go that way. All right, and then I just tug on them a little bit so that when I cut it, it sucks the rest back inside. And he is the done. He's a little stumpy, but once I fluff him up a little more. And there, he's got his little gooey legs. I do think this is the way I think that works, although I think his eyes could have been to the left just a little bit. But I do like how this ooze is kind of working. I might add a little bit more on the edges of each of these points, but I think we got a winner. Now I just got to finish correcting my pattern so I can release him in a few days. So the gelatinous cube will be on my Patreon on June 1st. It'll be for my paid tiers, but if anybody wants to test him, please holler. I am happy to share. I can use all the testers I can get for any of my patterns. So let me know even if you're not a paid tier, if you'd like to test any of them, just reach out. My Discord is on my Twitch profile. And if you have other suggestions for what would make these guys more interesting or more fun, just holler. I would love to hear. Because I'm always looking for ideas. Oh, and so for the next patterns that are coming up, we're going to have a mind flayer. We're also going to have a griffin, a troll, a displacer beast, a manticore, and I think my final one, which was going to be the dragon, but we already jumped ahead on that one, so the dragon's already out. Will probably be a chimera with 3 heads. So, what could go wrong there? 3 plushies in one. So those plans could change, but based on the polling so far, that's kind of where we're at on the voting for what's going to make it into the book. So feel free to jump over to Patreon and vote. I'll probably lock it down at some point soon because I've got to decide. We're going to start book layout and I'll need to know what is going to make the cut there. Plus I have to see if I can if any of those cause me grief, because the griffin has been causing me almost as much trouble as the dragon. Not because it's hard, but because I can't decide. It hasn't told me yet what it wants to look like. Because I kind of work with them until the characters come out. And I've already made 5 griffins. And I haven't quite decided on what it's actually supposed to look like. So that's not a good sign. So, so we'll see how it goes. Okay, come on. Let me ban you. Yes, thank you. Go away. All right. Um, all right. So I even weaved in the ends on this little guy. So we have some gooey friends here. And I hope you all have a great evening. So this guy came in at just about an hour and a half, even with, talking about him and showing off other projects. Um, So feel free to reach out if you have any questions or if you want to test or if you just, want to hang out. If you're near the Seattle area, I have a local meetup that meets twice a month usually. We're going to only be meeting once a month during the summer, but we meet for social crafting, free event. We just get together and hang out and make stuff. So anyways, thank you all for joining me. I hope you have a wonderful night. I probably should see if there's somewhere for us to raid tonight, but I'm starving. I think I'm going to go get dinner. So I will talk to you all soon. I hope you have a wonderful evening.